Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hive Doctor. I know I've got the sun behind me today. It's probably hard to see my face, but it's hot and I don't want to look into the sun. In fact, that actually rolls into what today's topic is. I've got 5 modifications, upgrades that you can do with your own apiary and operation to make things easier on you and the bees. So stick around. Hey everyone, so welcome back to the Hive Doctor. The first modification that I'm going to recommend that you upgrade to, if you haven't already, is to go from your solid bottom board to a screened bottom board. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it is a hot day, and I know that the bees get hot too. My bees, I've seen through the years, they always do better in more sunlight than they do shade. So being in as much sun as they are, I want to help them out as much as I can. And I like to do that with screened bottom boards, not just for ventilation purposes, but for varroa mite drop purposes. This is like a non-chemical way, a physical combatant, if you will, against varroa mite. As honeybees of all strains, genetic strains, groom themselves, mites naturally fall down. And hopefully they don't just fall into the next frame of the lower box, but they fall all the way through, fall through this screen, and eventually, ultimately to the ground where they cannot fly because they don't have wings, and ideally they can't crawl back up into the hive. That would take a lot of energy for those little buggers. So what's great, if you've got an objection to using screen bottom boards, they can still be managed just like a solid bottom board because they come with those inserts that come into the bottom. You can regulate how much airflow you allow into your colony through the bottom of your bottom board. Since I've been using the ones that I designed and patented, I have eliminated bearding. I've not seen bearding since using my bottom board. And I'm not just saying that that's, because it's my bottom board. I think it has a lot to do with it being a screened bottom board. I did not invent the screened bottom board, just to be clear. That was here long before I became a beekeeper. There's other modifications I made to it anyways. That's another video. But I don't have bearding, and bearding is a sign of alleviating congestion and heat in the brood nest. That's why all those bees are on the outside of your colony, bearding on the bottom front of your bottom board or on the face of your bottom deep or even 2 boxes. All of my colonies are on bottom boards right now. You can see I'm changing my colors from that old purple to this nice teal blue. I still have a few I've got to change out. Just haven't done it yet. Over here I've got 4 more. This is a swarm that moved in to a swarm trap that I didn't even have set up. That last blue in there on the end, that's a swarm that moved into a swarm trap that I relocated to here. And these are 2 nukes in the middle that I bought this year and built up. The rest of these are my winter survivals. And then of course, I've got my mating nukes down there at the bottom of the hill. Those are not on screen bottom boards, but they do have ventilated inner covers to help with the heat of the day. The second thing I really think you should do to make things easier on you is to keep dry smoker fuel on hand in your apiary. In fact, this taller bucket you see here, it's got a gasketed cover, and I've got dry, clean, long leaf pine needles inside that makes lighting my smoker a breeze. And not just that, but I also have a portable one that I keep here. This is the one I carry with me to all of my out yards and my clients' beehives. It's just a simple way to keep enough smoker fuel to last me for quite a few visits. So that's number 2. And stick around to the end because I got 2 bonus tips I thought of when I was conjuring up this video. So definitely make sure you check those out towards the end of the video. All right, aside from keeping smoker fuel on hand, dry smoker fuel, easy to light and cheap, I recommend making a way to make your beehives, your hive inspections, easier on you. So you see here, I always work from the back of my colonies because that way I'm not in their flight zone. And it's going to go a long way in keeping me from getting stung because I'm back here out of the way. They're all on that side working. Well, I've got this portable shelf that I made that goes into the middle of my hive stands. And I designed these hive stands to hold 2 beehives on one end, 2 beehives on the other, and a workspace in the middle originally right there, but it's kind of tight. So I made this extension that comes out where I can put my top box. This will hold quite a bit of weight, and I can put a box here to get it out of my way so that I can inspect further down, or I can put a box here and inspect and go through that box. And so it's just another way to make it easier on myself. I don't have to bend and stoop so much. I don't have to put boxes on the ground if I don't have to. And it's just a way that makes it easier for me. I've even got a little clip here on the end where my smoker can hang. I'll show you what I mean. So a good smoker is going to have this curled piece of metal here. It's just a hook that hooks normally over the edge of your bee box. But I've also got it to where I can hang it here on the end of my little work stand here. So it kind of keeps it out of the way, but also on hand and at the ready. And speaking of smokers, that's going to be the fourth thing that I recommend that you upgrade. So when it comes to smokers, they are not all created equal. There's a big difference between a crappy smoker and a high quality one. And I've never seen one that falls somewhere in between. You either have a bad smoker and it's going to frustrate you. And if that's your very first smoker, you don't even know that you're having a hard time. You think it's probably just you or your inexperience, but there's a lot to be said for a high quality smoker. My favorite smoker has always been Date Ant. They have a very nice smoker. And I do have a video that you can watch. I'll link it up here specifically about the smoker. I break it down element by element so you know what to look for. But briefly, you want to find one with a breather tube that is removable and integrated to where it goes all the way into the fire chamber. You don't want the ones that are welded on right here at the back, and that's as far as they go. And here's one of the big reasons why. Air matters when it comes to having a fire. That's just all there is to that. But those bellows on those cheap smokers are so weak. The spring inside that allows this to open back up is such a weak spring that you've got to really pump to get any smoke to come out. But this is a tight smoker in these Date Ant bellows. And so you're going to get a lot of force, a lot more force on your pumps than you would those cheap smokers. So hive tip number 4 for modifying or upgrading your operation is to get a quality smoker. All right, so tip number 5, last one before we get to the 2 bonus tips I've got for you guys, is get yourself more than one hive tool. These things are easy to lose, misplace, and this is really the one thing that makes it and enables you to be able to get into your hive and inspect. You just can't pop boxes and frames loose when they're tight fitted with all that propolis that the bees glue everything together with. So get yourself some hive tools, and specifically this style should be the most basic kind you get. I really highly recommend against getting the kind with that J hook on the end, because all they're able to do is lift the end of a frame and get it out. I can do that with this, but more. This is way more versatile and gives you much more leverage if you know how to use it right, with a lot less effort than those J hook hive tools. So I've got these linked below. I've got a lot of things linked below for you, so check those out. Makes it easier for you to find them, so you don't have to go looking for yourself. I got this particular hive tool from apistactical.com, which you know I'm a big fan of their gloves. They offer you 10% off of their gloves and their new suits if you go through and use the code TheHiveDoctor10 during checkout. So definitely check that out, make it worth it. He's got some amazing high quality gear that's going to last you and take care of you as long as you take care of it. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the last 2 bonus tips I've got for you guys today. All right, so as you can see, I like smokers. The first one there was just for fun to put on my shelf in the honey house. It probably doesn't even really work. There's no grate in the bottom to make it really breathable, but it was cute. I got it off of Temu. It was one of my free things I got to pick, so I got one. But I've got two other smokers. One is one that I keep in my own apiary because I've got more hives here, so it's a deeper smoker. I can pack more fuel into it. It will last longer. This is my portable one that I take with me in the Beak Jeep here to my clients because they've only got about 2 colonies each, so I don't need it to last quite as long before I'm ready to put it out and move on to the next. But I'm not necessarily saying that you should keep multiple smokers. I do recommend that with that last tip of having a high quality smoker, that you do have an extra set of bellows on hand. So Daydent will actually sell these bellows separate from the smoker, and they're compatible with their smokers. It has 2 nuts on the inside back on each side for a total of 4. You undo those, take the old rotten bellows off, put the new nice bellows back on, and you're ready to go. These cylinders outlast and outlive sets of bellows. In fact, I used to have a smoker. I had probably had it for 15 years and put like 3 or 4 different sets of bellows on it. They'll last even longer as long as you keep them out of the elements as well. So have an extra set of bellows because you never know when your one will fail, especially with all this pumping. This material here will eventually crack, air will escape, and it's not going to hold that same amount of air. It's not going to pump as much air into your fire chamber to keep that smoker going. All right, so that was bonus tip number 1. Let's move on to the last bonus tip, which is number 2. The wife is coming up the hill. Let's see, there she is. Dun 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 dun. All right, I'll be with you guys in a second. Okay, so last but not least, for sure, I recommend that every beekeeper run their own mating nukes. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be in the queen raising business and go and sell queens. And it doesn't mean you've got to go fancy with these 3-way mating nukes, these queen castles, and do as many as I'm doing. No, I recommend that you keep some mating nukes on hand just so you have your own supply of mated queens for when you find during a regular hive inspection you've got an issue with one of your own colonies. There's nothing more satisfying than knowing that you've got a mated queen down the hill here that you can put in a cage and introduce into your own colony and keep them from getting a month behind by raising their own. Now, there's a lot of professional beekeepers that are good at managing 2-frame mating nukes. Those are great and they will get the job done, but I do not recommend them, only because they require a special management to stay on top of them because they can grow so fast and outgrow that 2-frame space. For a beginner, I would recommend, and anyone keeping some extra queens on hand in their backyard, I would go with 3 to 5 frame nukes, because if you ever get to a point where you don't need that queen and they're starting to outgrow themselves, you can take a frame of their brood, shake the bees off, and add it to one of your smaller or weak colonies. That way you're managing their population by keeping it down, they don't outgrow their small space, and you're still getting a resource from them, even if it's not a mated queen at the time. And so that 3 to 5 frame nuke is not going to outgrow you or your management skills too quickly and have a little bit of leniency to be able to work within. So those are my 5 tips today to upgrade and modify your apiary operation, plus the 2 bonus tips of keeping some bellows on hand for when the ones that you have fail, and for keeping some queens on hand. It's easier to raise queens and keep them there than you think. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. Let me know which ones you already do down in the comments below. And if you can think of any others, let everyone know in the comments below as well. I appreciate you guys joining me today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.